I absolutely love these clamps. These are my favorite clamps next to the Bessey 3/4 inch pipe clamps. But they sure are a pain when they get glue all over them. Yeah, it's that bad. But listen, there are ways to prevent that from happening. And some of the ways that people do that is they will set their length for their board, then they'll lay a bunch of wax paper down along these clamps. That way the glue is not actually getting to the clamp, it stops the wax paper and it's fine. But that adds disposable materials to your job. It adds cost to doing the job. The other way is you can take blue painter's tape and set your length of your clamps to the width of your board and then cover everything with blue painter's tape. But that also adds an extra step and more disposable material to making your board. So your boards end up taking longer to make, and they also end up costing more to make because you're adding disposable material. But there's another two ways that minimizes the cost of disposable materials, and that would be using paste wax to coat your clamps so that that stuff just easily peels right off. And this way here, which is new to me, I haven't heard anybody suggest it, but I am going to test that out today and see if it works. And this is using mold release on your clamp. You just pop that off and spray it on, and it should get the glue to just peel right off. I don't know how long this is going to last. I've done this before. It usually lasts like anywhere from like 3 to 6 months. It depends on how much you're using the clamps, really. This, I don't know how long it'll last. It might be a one-time use thing, which both of these adds disposable material cost to your project, but considerably less than using tape or wax paper. Considerably less than that. So we're going to try both of these out, see how they compare to each other, and see how this goes. All right, so you'll see here that I sectioned off this clamp into 3 sections. And you're probably thinking to yourself, well, you only have 2 different materials that you were going to test, so why is it sectioned off into 3 sections? And that's because we're going to do a control section where we just put the glue straight onto the clamp without any protection at all. We already know what that's going to do to the clamp. We've been through this. We already know what it's going to do. Do we really have to do? I guess we're doing this. We're putting glue straight on the clamp, and then we're going to use the mold release, and then we're going to use the paste wax, and yeah, we'll put some glue on these and see what they do the next day. All right, so the first thing I want to do here is I'm going to leave the control side alone. Yeah. I guess I'm not going to put anything on that side. Then I'm going to spray the silicone-based mold release spray on the middle section. You see here I cut up a piece of paper to partition it off a little bit so that I don't get overspray on the other 2 sections. It does leave a little bit of a residue, but the thought here is that if it works well for epoxy resin, it should work great for wood glue too. Then I'm going to switch over to the paste wax section. Now the first thing you'll notice here is that I'm moving considerably faster than what I did when I was spraying the mold release spray. And that's because, believe it or not, I had to speed up the video for this process. And that's because this process does take considerably longer than spraying on the mold release spray. And it definitely takes longer than doing nothing at all. But basically what I do here is I take a paper towel, I'll wipe it in the wax to get a good layer of wax on the paper towel, and then I rub that on the clamp. And then I go over the clamp, I buff it in. It looks like you're wiping it off, but really you're buffing it in. It'll look like there's nothing there by the time you're done. But trust and believe in this stuff, there is a protective coating there, and it will work. One thing that's impressed me over the few years that I've used this stuff is how far it goes. I use it on the table saw, I use it on my jointer, my planer, I use it on all sorts of surfaces of my tools, and it provides great protection and it goes a long way. A can of this can last you years in your shop and make life a lot easier for you. Alright, so we've got nothing applied. We've got the mold release spray applied, and we've got the paste wax applied. The first difference I'll point out between the two is that this is really fast and really easy to apply. You just spray it on and it gets into all the nooks and crannies just naturally and perfectly. The paste wax, however, it takes a second. I mean, it's not ridiculously longer to apply than the spray, but it does take a little bit of effort to try to get in the nooks and crannies of the brakes for the clamp. So yeah, that's pretty much the first immediate difference. Now we'll see how they perform. So I guess it's time to just go ahead and put some glue on this thing. Let's get to it. Do I really need to do this? Do you know how hard it's going to be to get? It's a perfectly clean clamp. I don't want to do this to it. All right on. Guess we'll get it done. Alright, so while I'm spreading the glue on these three sections, I want to talk a little bit about the conditions of this test. At the time of this test, it's towards the end of winter time in Pennsylvania, so it's pretty cool outside. I do have a heater on in the shop which maintains a heat of about 65 degrees, and throughout the duration of this test, that heater was on. But the prime temperature for this wood glue is about 75 degrees and even a little bit higher than that. So I do think the results of this test might vary just a little bit if it was done in the summertime. If you like this test and you want to see that done again in the summertime, I am willing to do that. Oh, this is uncomfy. Alright, so now that the glue is applied, I will let this sit overnight and then some, and then it'll be dried out hopefully tomorrow afternoon, and I'll come back here and deal with the consequences of my actions. Ugh. Alright, so instead of 1 day, I ended up giving it 2 days for the glue to dry. And that's because whenever I looked in these holes in the clamps where the braking system engages, the glue looked a little bit moist there still. Wood glue is a little bit of a slow drying material to begin with, so when it's globbed up in big thick chunks like this, I would expect that to be the case. But what we are looking at here is the section of clamp that has nothing applied to it. But what you'll see here at first glance is that it pulled up inside the grooves of the clamp really deeply, and it pretty much stayed everywhere that it had contact with the clamp. So yeah, this should be a treat to clean off. Now the second part you see here is the section that has the mold release spray sprayed onto the clamp. Now if we go back and look when I applied the glue versus what it looks like right now, it looks completely different. I applied just as much glue as I did to the section that had nothing applied, but it all beaded up as if it was like rain on a Rain-X windshield and just ran right off of the clamp. Other than a few beads that are left behind, a little bit in those grooves that are just trapped in there, but for the most part, all the glue just fell right off the clamp. So at first look, this performed excellent and should be really easy to clean off. Now the next image we see here is the side that has the paste wax on it. Remember when I said trust in the process, there's definitely a protective layer on it and da-da-da-da-da? Well, after seeing this, I'm definitely worried, because it definitely looks no different than the section that had nothing on it at all. It's pretty much exactly the same. And yeah, I'm judging a book by the cover and sweating bullets right now because I think I got two sections that are going to be really hard to clean off. Alright, so I went with 2 days of drying time, so I'm sure this has had plenty of time to become as difficult as it's going to get. So I guess I'll get started cleaning these off and see which one performed the best. I'll start with the paste wax first, then I'll move over to the mold release spray, and then I'll work on that. Alright, so we'll start with the paste wax. Oh, that's nice. That's not bad at all. Oh, that came out of there really good. I was concerned that that being in the holes there, it was going to be in there for good. Wow. Really nice. That's just sawdust. Yeah. Beautiful, beautiful. So we'll move on to the mold release spray. All right, so the mold release spray, there's not much of anything here. It all literally just ran off of it. There's a couple little nubbins here. And you know, the little nubbins are actually stuck on there pretty hard. Use a fingernail, didn't really have to use a tool for that. Whew. Now this right here's where the paste wax actually did better than this. I mean, it still came out pretty easy, but with the paste wax, it just all came out in one chunk. But overall, like, this performed very well. Very well. I mean, seconds. So let's move on to the other one. Well, here we are. Much like the paste wax, it looks the same, but it is not the same. Wow. See, that come off in a pretty good chunk there. Come on, get lucky. Come on. Come on. Oh. Dude, that is awesome. That really wasn't that horrible. That's pretty good. You know, overall that wasn't horrible. With it pouring deep into the holes, I really thought that this would be wedged in there really solidly. But it wasn't nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be. It all came out pretty much in one piece. It took a lot more effort than the mold release and the paste wax did. But overall, it wasn't as horrible as I thought it would be. Nice thing about one of these mats is alright, so there you have it. What surprised me the most was how this stuff looked like it was doing a fantastic job. Like, whenever I put the glue there, it just started slowly running off as if, like, almost like rain hitting rain axe. It just beat it up and rolled right off of it. And then the paste wax looked like it was performing exactly the same as nothing at all. It was just all clumped up in there and just kind of sticking to it, just like having nothing on the clamp at all. But when I went to peel this stuff off, everything that stayed behind and stayed on the clamp was actually fairly hard to get off. It took a pretty good stiff scrape with my fingernail to get it off. It took a little bit of work with a screwdriver to get it out of the holes of the clamp. But overall, I would say this was better than nothing at all. But this here performed the best by far. Even though it looked like it was doing nothing, when I went to peel that off, it all peeled out like by hand. It was peeled out perfectly. So in my book, this here's the best. Now, letting this sit for 2 days, the glue still kind of has some soft spots where it was super thick. So I kind of feel like results might be a little bit different if I let this sit in a closet for, I don't know, 2-3 months and then come back and get it. So if this video does well enough and you guys are interested in seeing what happens when you do that, I will do another video, same stuff, and let it sit in a closet for like 2 months, and then come back and try to peel it off and see if it changes anything about the results. But that is it for this video. If you like this video, do me a favor, hit that like button, and if you want to see more videos like this, let me know in the comments below, and hit that subscribe button so that you can see more of my videos on the channel. I myself am interested to know what this will be like in summer conditions, and let it sit for a few months to see how much of a difference there would be. If you would like to see that, let me know in the comments below. And let me know if there's any other methods you'd like me to try to test out too. If there's other materials out there that can protect your clamps, I'm all ears, and I'm sure anybody else viewing would like to know too. So yeah, put those suggestions in the comments below, and maybe we'll explore them in the next video. But until next time, grab some tools and start making something awesome. See you next time.